Hi, this is part two. Please pick up start with part one and then pick up here. Okay, I'm going to be at slide 20 on pen testing. For those of you who are in the cybersecurity major, you've probably been learning how to do this. For those of you in computer science, you're probably familiar with the concepts. For the rest of you, here's what it is. The notion is testing a company's security systems by trying to break them, by trying to break in and gain unauthorized access. And unauthorized is kind of sticky here because if you're a white hat, what'll happen is you will be working for a company or you'll be a consultant and the company will go, hey, please try to break into our systems. We want to know what's vulnerable. So you have their permission, but you don't necessarily have the permission of users. So one of the ways pen testing works, the easy one is just trying to guess passwords. The second is actually physically manipulating people, like breaking into their offices, lying to them about who you are in order to get their passwords, lifting up their computer keyboard to see if they've got a sticky underneath with their passwords, all kinds of stuff aimed at duplicitous behavior, lying to people to try and break into the system to see where the personal vulnerabilities are, not just the code vulnerabilities. Okay, let's evaluate those on our three frameworks. Virtue ethics would say, no, you are being a criminal. You are practicing being a criminal. All that is going to get you is make you a better bad person. Don't do it. Utilitarianism, on the other hand, would go, hey, so we lie to a handful of people. So we make a couple people uncomfortable, maybe a couple people lose their jobs. But if you're talking about like credit card data from millions of people or personal addresses from millions of people, hey, easy call. The good of the many outweighs the good of the few. We're done here, no problem. Deontology gets a little more complicated because deontology says, hey, everybody's got rights. And people have rights to expect in the workplace that somebody isn't going to come in and lie to them about who they are and what they're doing. That somebody isn't going to break in and try and steal their stuff, including stickies with passwords on it. So on a deontology perspective, pen testing is really kind of dubious. So if you're a professional, I really want you to think about the ethics of this. And I want you to think about when you're asked to do it in a class where you're learning it or in a profession, hey, what's my ethical theory and does this accord with it and do I really feel like I'm doing the right thing? Here's a case in point. About a year and a half ago, there's a university class, not here, that was teaching pen testing in a cybersecurity program, fine. They had for a group project hacking their university. And they did stuff like going up and lying to the president of the university's secretary and saying they were admins and needed access in order to protect the president's data and broke into the system. They were lying to other students to get their passwords, doing all kinds of this stuff. And when it came out, it didn't go really well for that professor and that class and that university. A lot of tech professionals do not think about ethics, which is why we here at HU have this class. So don't be like that jackhole and destroy your career. Think about the stuff. All right. Part two of this is the evolution of hacker ethics. So obviously people have been thinking about what's right and wrong with computers since there have been computers. The next slide on the evolution of hacker ethics from Manjikian breaks it down really nicely. I'm going to ask you to read for, right after the break, two short classic pieces of tech ethics. And I'm really interested to know, and I'm going to ask you specifically in the discussion forum, what you think about those, having grown up a generation later, having grown up native to computers. So the first of those is John Perry Barlow's Declaration of Independence in Cyberspace, which was massively influential in the 90s and early 2000s. The other is by Linus Torvalds of Linux. It's called Linus's Law. So I would really like to have you to read those and think about them. Little heads up, when you read Linus's Law, for those of you who've had any psychology, think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is in the slides, if you're not familiar with it. And see how much they're the same thing. The book, The Hacker Ethic, which was written in conjunction with Torvalds, talks about software development as play, as something really morally elevated. And I'm wondering how much that resonates with folks who, have to write code for 18 hours a day. So I want to hear your opinions on this stuff. It's also very closely related to notions from Max Weber's The Protestant Work Ethic. So again, if you had sociology, if you had Me for Org Mind, you've got Max Weber. And Weber's notion is that work is kind of holy. It's something you should bring your soul to. and that the cultures that feel that way about work conquer the world. And that other societies where work is a sign that we're fallen beings, that life is hell, that it's something to be endured, those societies don't amount to much. Very controversial notion, very, very, very influential in thinking about society. So when you're reading those two pieces, think about Maslow's hierarchy from sociology and Weber's Protestant work ethic Maslow from psychology, Weber from sociology, and think about how these two people are fitting into a really long intellectual tradition that is older than computers. Okay, that is it for now. Again, thank you for some great discussions on your abstracts. Please get those in by the end of the week. If you haven't met with me, please do that. And please check in at the end of the week for assignments that will be due the week after spring break. I won't have you do anything over spring break. I will have some stuff coming up, and I'm probably going to update the readings for the back half of the class and bring you some fresh off the presses journal articles and stuff from industry. So keep an eye out for that. Have a great spring break, and see you on the other side.